Welcome everyone. On behalf of everyone at the Economic Stability Council, Madison Development Corporation, and United Way of Dane County, I'd like to thank you all for attending this virtual press conference announcing the first project to come out of the Dane Workforce Housing Fund. Today you'll hear from several stakeholders involved with this initiative. If you have questions as we go, please comment on our Facebook Live post or use the chat feature if you're joining by Zoom. We'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. Now let me hand it over to the chair of the Economic Stability Council, Rich Lynch.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time today to celebrate with us the announcement of our new Dane County Workforce Housing Fund and the launching of our first supported project. Once again, my name is Rich Lynch. I'm chairman at J.H. Findorf & Son and chair of the Economic Stability Council. The evolution of this effort goes back to my time spent working with and eventually chairing the United Way Board of Directors and realizing then that despite all of United Way's great work, along with the strong supportive agencies in Dane County, that the impact of poverty on family instability was not going away, at least not fast enough. So we formed the Economic Stability Council. This small group of community leaders, funders, and employers was asked to come together and look at poverty within our community and look at potential solutions in a different way, using a more collective thinking by seeking more awareness, alignment, and capacity building for a truer collective impact. And the Economic Stability Council really stuck with it. For almost 4 years, we've worked with United Way of Dane County to review data and local strategies. We also gathered research from UW-Madison and our chancellor to learn more about local, state, and national government approaches to poverty in other communities. This effort confirmed what we felt were the 3 main challenges impacting those facing poverty: education, employment, and housing. And this also confirmed that for many years now, the lack of affordable housing has been among the top 3 issues for families, individuals, and employers right here in Dane County. So it's important to note that while our community receives significant housing support from city and county funding, we saw a gap, something we called the missing middle of working adults who cannot afford to live here and are not eligible to receive assistance from some of the existing programs. These folks, many of which who work in crucial jobs in our community like nursing, teachers, food and hospitality workers, retail clerks, are what we called cost burdened, which means they spend more than 30% of their household income on housing alone. This is not sustainable and it does not set them up for success in the future. So after looking at the efforts, the services, and types of funding in Dane County, which is currently available to address some of these issues, we determined that with our initiative, accelerating affordable workforce housing was where we could creatively make a difference. To reach the missing middle and to impact a major concern of area employers and to bring more stability to working families where their housing costs would not be a burden. We also felt this could have the most potential to grow looking forward. With that research and focus, and with the help of the Madison Development Corporation, we determined that a socially responsible investment fund would be the best way to help accelerate workforce housing development. That fund is called the Dane Workforce Housing Fund. It was a unique approach through which we could educate and partner with private sector employers and funders without requesting donations from them, but rather investments toward a community solution. And that had a return. So it would positively impact their own employees. So that's the beginning. And before you hear more about our fund, I want to be sure to personally thank each member of the Economic Stability Council, our partners, the advisors, and consultants, along with the amazing supportive lead investors in this first effort, and hopefully our future funds. Here to talk about the structure of our fund and the first project to be supported by this fund is Lori Heinemann with the Madison Development Corporation.
Thank you so much, Rich. As Rich mentioned, I'm Lori Heinemann. I'm president and CEO of the Madison Development Corporation. And I've got to say, Rich, your leadership on this project has been really remarkable. From bringing in Whitefish Partners early on to kind of help frame the project, and then calling me in May in the middle of a pandemic and say, hey, I think we can do this. And so we went back at it, and fortunately, you opened so many doors to some fantastic investors. So let me talk a little bit about the fund. The Dane Workforce Housing Fund basically has 3 goals. First, we want to create at least 500 units of affordable workforce housing here in Dane County. And we're referring to affordable workforce housing as, again, as Rich mentioned, the missing middle, households that make between 40 to 80% of the area median income. Second, we want to make sure that those units are kept affordable for a minimum of 15 years. And third, we wanted to provide a modest rate of return to investors. So versus asking for a donation, we wanted our employers to actually invest in these projects so that they can get a modest return, and then hopefully there will be several additional funds to come. So with that, I want to put up the investor slide and thank each and every investor that is taking a chance on this first fund. And they're not in any particular order, but I can't tell you how much we appreciate meeting with your staff and meeting with you personally. So Monona Bank is an investor, UW Health, the Oscar Rennebohm Foundation, MG&E Foundation, CUNA Mutual Group Foundation, WPS Health Solutions, Exact Sciences Corporation, First Business Bank, Oak Bank, Summit Credit Union, the Park Bank, BMO Harris Bank, Madison Development Corporation, and the University of Wisconsin Credit Union. So thanks to your support, we actually raised $11.85 million, which was over our goal of $10 million. So now I'd like to talk about our first project that the investment committee has decided to invest in. Our first project, which I believe is also on a slide, is the Addy project. It is a 39 unit. It'll be 100% affordable, and it's located on University Avenue in Middleton, Wisconsin. Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corp is partnering with the minority developer, Anthony Gray, to help make this project happen. We're very excited about that because we decided to partner with Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corp and make this our first project because of the fact that it was going to be a market rate project, but now it will be an affordable workforce housing unit project in Middleton. And we also loved to see the support from the City of Middleton as well as the Middleton Area Economic Development Corporation to help make this happen. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rennebohm, the CEO of the United Way of Dane County. Renee.
Thank you so much, Lori. You have personally demonstrated again and again why you and Madison Development Corporation are the perfect leaders for this project. Thank you so much. And thanks again to everybody for tuning in today. It's been inspiring to see this group come together and work so hard to innovate solutions for and with our local workforce. I want to take a moment just to reflect on home and what does home feel like to you? Housing serves as our own safe space, and it is the launch pad for the most important moments in our lives. It is quite literally the home base of our lives. We know that employment and housing go hand in hand when it comes to the well-being of individuals and families in our community. And as Rich said, about a third of Dane County renter households struggle to afford housing, and working families of color are most affected. That means thousands of our neighbors struggle to pay rent, and we know that's getting even more challenging in this pandemic. While our local government partners, who you'll hear from in a moment, have led in this area and have done an incredible amount to invest in housing, they maintain gaps that need filling. And as Rich said, work with United Way and other organizations, we need all of us working together to find innovative solutions to extend the existing great work that's happening to make sure we can reach more folks. And this investment fund is a huge step in the right direction. The idea for a socially responsible housing investment fund first came up out of 2 decades of homelessness reduction work at United Way. Volunteers, nonprofit partners, and donors, along with the City of Madison and Dane County, worked collaboratively to coordinate homelessness services and build relationships with landlords and property managers. Together, and I mean that's a big together, we were able to reduce acute family homelessness by half. And we continue to struggle with enough affordable housing inventory. So after coordinating systems, seeking and running out of existing inventory, United Way's volunteers decided we needed to figure out how to get more built. And I must thank Rajesh Rajaraman from ARB Energy for his foresight, research, and championing of a social investment fund. That wasn't something that made sense for United Way to do. And it was with Rich's leadership on our board of directors to say, what else can happen? How do we get more people involved in solving the problem, that we were able to have this collaboration happen. He was troubled with how we can do more to invest in our families and systems change to create more equitable outcomes, which is how, as you heard, the Economic Stability Council was born. And as he just explained, the team started big with poverty and then put a stake in the ground for that housing. We would not be here today without Rich Lynch. Thank you, Rich, for your leadership. This investment fund is an important tool. It expands the band of housing available for workers and frankly inspires a different kind of investment from local businesses beyond their general charitable contributions. This is a great day to thank Raj, Rich, Lori, and all of the volunteers, investors, and partners for bringing this to fruition. This is hard and important work. And it just goes to show that when we work together to increase the supply of affordable housing for our workforce, we are one step closer to a collective vision of a Dane County where everyone can succeed in school, work, and life, to advance how we treat each other and invest in the building blocks of well-being, including housing, home. And that is something to be really excited about. With that, I'd like to pass it over to our county executive, Joe Parisi.
Thanks, Renee. I appreciate it very much. It's great to be here. And thank you and Rich and everyone involved in this project. You know, as you know, Dane County and other public and nonprofit partners have been focusing intensely on increasing the supply of affordable housing stock. Dane County's housing fund, for example, has invested nearly $19 million to help create around 1,700 units over the past few years. But as has been mentioned, the need certainly outstrips the resources that have been available. So it's really exciting to see this unique private sector effort become part of the mix and part of the solution. This effort perfectly complements the other efforts that are underway and fills a need that exists throughout our community. You know, I was in on the early meetings of this council, and I can tell you the people at the table were incredibly thorough and deliberate in coming up with this unique model that I believe will be quite effective. You know, this model has been driven, this entire effort, by a sincere desire to make a difference in our community, and it will certainly do just that. You know, and community is really the key word here, because in order to solve the challenges that we have in front of us, it's going to take our entire community. And what we see now is we see the nonprofit sector, the public sector, and the private sector coming from a number of different angles and bringing their own unique expertise and knowledge and know-how to the table. So I'm really proud to be part of this community that's willing to work together and to come together and lead in solutions like this. So thank you all again. We really appreciate it. You're making a difference in people's lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I'm Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, and it's a pleasure to be with you all here today. I want to start just by thanking Rich and Lori and everybody involved. I, like Joe, remember some of those early meetings, and the questions, the good thinking, the innovation that I heard around those tables. It's been said already, but affordable housing is a crisis in our community. I came into office with housing among my top priorities, and despite COVID, housing remains among our top priorities here at the city, and we have invested accordingly. But we can't alone, any one of us, the city, the county, or the private sector, do enough alone. We have to be working together, and that's what's so exciting about today, is that we are bringing more people into the fold to help work on our affordable housing crisis. And we really do need all sorts of solutions. So we certainly need to be producing more affordable housing. We just frankly need to be producing more housing across the board. And we need the programs and services that help connect people to housing, that help people move into homeownership, and keep folks stable in their homes. So there's a broad range of work to be done here, and the work today is just one piece of it, but it's a very important piece of it. The city is making a strong commitment to affordable housing going forward. In the budget that the City Council adopted last night. We are investing $6 million in affordable housing in 2021, and that's up from 4.5 million just a couple of years ago. So we're increasing our investment. And in fact, over the next 6 years, the city is planning to invest over $50 million in affordable housing. That will move us forward. But again, we need to match that commitment in all sectors, because the city can't do it on our own. We are trying to leverage the funding that we provide against funding from federal and state governments and from the private sector. And we're also trying to use our funding to spur innovation and to look at not just the sort of traditional tax credit method of providing affordable housing development, but also to explore other options. And so I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about working further with the private sector to find what are the innovative ways that we can produce affordable housing for our community. So I want to say thank you again to everybody who helped make today a possibility. And I'm looking forward to the success of this project, but more importantly, I'm looking forward to the continued partnership and success with this group, with local governments, with the county, and to continued innovation and new ideas to make sure that everyone in Madison and Dane County can afford to live in a safe and healthy home. And thank you all so much. I'm happy to turn it over to Mayor Gurdeep Brar from Middleton.
Thank you, Mayor Satya. Really appreciate it. I echo many of your sentiments, and I'm not going to repeat it. So in my case, actually, what I will end up doing is saying a lot of thank you. To begin with, I want to say thank you to Madison Development Corporation and to all the members of the Economic Stability Council. And special thanks goes to Anthony Gray for bringing this project to Middleton. And then to Middleton Area Development Corporation to originally loan him about $300,000. And now to Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corporation for taking over the project. These guys deserve a big hand. And big thanks also goes to United Way, especially Rennebohm for her leadership, and the staff at City of Middleton, Middleton Area Development Corporation, Madison Development Corporation, and many other folks who work behind the scenes to make these things happen, and they don't get recognized. I want to say thank you to all of them. So I'm very thrilled that the very first project is coming to Middleton. And this is right on the University Avenue, right across from the shopping center. So it's on the bus route, shopping. It's just a perfect place. So there's an ever-increasing need for affordable housing. Dane Workforce Housing Fund will go a long way in helping with this cause. Middleton has been very successful in building affordable housing during the past several years. And thanks to actually Dane County and especially Joe Parisi, they also loaned money to some of our developers, and that goes a long way in solving this problem. So as others have said, this affordable housing is a big issue. So it's good that we are trying to solve this problem by having these apartments, but in the long run, I'm hoping that we will have the real solution where we will have the owner-occupied affordable homes. I think it is a long way to go, but that is my vision. At this time, I also want to thank Rich from actually a lot of times we get the ideas and sit on it, but he didn't, he had the ideas, he had the vision, and he actually started a fund and make it happen. And that's what's happening here now. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. And I'm going to pass it back to Ashley to facilitate the question and answer session.
Thank all of our speakers for being here today to share this initiative with the community. We have a couple of questions that came in via chat. So the first question, I would guess this one would probably go to Lori or Rich. What is the application process for developers to apply for funding?
Lori, that's right up your alley.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself. I apologize for that. So basically, the application practice is to contact Madison Development Corporation. We do have our emails on our website, but it's mdcorp.org. And give me a call, and we will get you in the process.
Great, thank you, Lori. Another question that came in, will there be services attached to the housing units to assure the stability of housing?
Do you want to answer that, Rich, or you want me to take a stab at it?
I'm going to start it and then look to Renee to add some emphasis. We looked at the various programs and the housing that the city and the county puts out to assist in accelerating housing. We feel that the housing that we're targeting, this middle group, is less needy of the services that go with a number of the other housing developments. So Renee, maybe you can touch on specifically what some of those services are and why they will not necessarily be applicable here.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And then I'll pass it over to Lori to talk about area median income and the range of housing. So when we traditionally think about lower income housing or affordable housing, oftentimes, especially with United Way's work and United Way's Affordable Housing Fund, we're looking at individual families who are very low income, who might need social services to maintain that stability, exactly as the question asker wondered. And so we're still working on that high need, lower income affordable housing that is partnered with support services. So things like case management. How do you work with families who have really been impacted by systemic racism, by looking at barriers in their lives, by looking at lack of great rental histories, for example, and help those families really assess goals and opportunities and channels and pathways towards stability. This group, as Rich just said, is really for that next level up. These are folks who don't need social services, but who aren't making enough money to pay for that market rate apartment. We know how expensive that housing is in Dane County. So these are folks who perhaps don't need services, case management, food access, trauma treatment, those kinds of things, but who are looking for additional capacity in terms of their incomes being able to support housing. So that's the differentiation. And Lori, I'll turn it over to you to talk the specifics.
Okay, thank you so much, Renee. I appreciate it. So the specifics are, we really, as Rich mentioned, we're looking at the missing middle. So people who have jobs that are employed here in Dane County, but have long commutes trying to come into their employers. And so we're really looking at 40 to 80% of the area median income for household income. So a household is basically the people who are on the lease. Maybe you have one or two adults. And that range is, probably $40,000 to $80,000 per year. It can certainly be lower, but the workforce housing, the rents are actually based on your income level, just like several of the affordable housings are. So this will be the same thing, where if you're making maybe $40,000 a year and you have a one-bedroom apartment in the exact same building, it may be a lower rent than if you're making $70,000 a year. So it's kind of a combination. We're calling it affordable workforce housing. Those are the types of projects that we're really looking to help make happen here. And I think it's also really important is that because they are not as subsidized as much with the tax incentives, we really felt it was important to fill a gap in funding, that these projects would not have happened without the Workforce Housing Fund's investments. And that was very important to the Economic Stability Council.
And this very first project is the case as you pointed out. So it's filling that middle there. Otherwise, this project would not become possible. So a lot of the projects in Middleton, they're in a TIF district, it's much easier to deal with. But in this case, we can do that. So you're absolutely right.
Thank you, Mayor. We're excited because this project is actually going to be all under 80% of the AMI, so we're excited about that. And Mary Wright, you know, she's the CEO of Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corp. And the partnership that they forged, because the city, like I said, and MAEDC and Anthony Gray have been so easy to work with. We're just really excited. You'll see that that will be an active project here within the next week.
And many people were asking over and over, when is it going to start? And it is starting now, so which is awesome.
And Lori, this is Rich. I want to emphasize again that the funds that are provided through city, county, and the state, the tax credit projects generally happen. And we're looking for those projects that without using those funds or minimally using those funds would not happen without our funds. So there's good things happening from both sides, but again, we're trying to accelerate and make some of those projects that are right at the edge and make them happen.
Great, thank you all. Next question comes in, how much of the fund is going to go towards the project in Middleton? And then from there, are there other projects that are going to be stirred in Madison or in other parts of the county?
So the investment committee, which is chaired by Ron Trachtenberg and Carrie Ann Runlin of MG&E Foundation is the vice chair, basically set investment goals that we would not put more than 20% into one particular project. So this particular project, our loan range size is 500,000 to 2 million, and we'll try to be as geographically diverse as, you know, as the projects come in. But the first loan will be for $900,000 to fill the gap in this particular project. And again, we, depending on what the developers, you know, come into the fund now that we're making this public, I can tell you that the first projects that we reviewed, one was in Madison, one was in Middleton, one is in Fitchburg, and one's in Cottage Grove. So we are seeing activity from around the county already.
All right, next question. What is the total cost of this project?
That's a very good question for Mary Wright, who's the CEO. I should know that right off the top of my head. You know, I think it's between 6 and 7 million, but I do not have that right off the top of my head. I mean, I could pull out my loan docs right here, but we're in the middle of closing on it right now. It is not closed. So it's a combination. I think the important thing to note about these workforce housing projects and any affordable housing project, there's several different sources of funds. So there is a project cost, a total project cost with the land and building it, but every single different project that I've seen has different sources of funds, whether it be city money, county money, maybe a TIF district, maybe it's a home fund, and in this case, the Dane Workforce Housing Fund, or a primary lender, or a syndicator. Every single project is very, very different. And this one, we really like this because Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corporation is putting quite a bit of their own equity into it. We're just a piece of that capital stack, if you will, because they're making a big commitment. A local lender is also making a commitment, and then we come in with a second mortgage.
And Lori, I want to give a brief shout out to our lead investors because all of them understand that what our mission here is and that we want to contribute and be a part of developments that really need the funds, and that we determine that but for these funds not happening, the project likely would not happen. And they're making a commitment for 15 years. These projects are needing to remain affordable at the levels that Lori described for 15 years. So that's a win-win. We hope forever they stay affordable like this, but 15 years is a pretty good start.
And Rich, you're right. Without this money, this project has been sitting there almost 6 months and it would not have happened. So, and the city and everybody really appreciate that. I never got involved in the money part of it. I know the other details of the overall project, so wouldn't know that.
Well, we're glad to see it happen.
This is Renee. I will say the United Way group, we watched 4 projects that were not able to get built because they were short between $150,000 and $400,000. And it was so frustrating to see that we knew that to get people stably housed, we needed to have that inventory. And so this idea of the capital stack and how complex that is, and to have this new resource, Mayor Brar, I'm so happy you just said that, because that's what we're trying to do, is get more of these projects tipped into actually happening.
Thank you, Nate. Absolutely.
All right, well, I'm not seeing any new questions come in from the chat. I know there's a lot to process, a lot of really great information here. So to anybody who may have questions later or questions that were not answered today, please feel free to reach out to me directly. We will go ahead and post my information in the chat. My name is Ashley Reynolds. I'm Director of Communications for United Way of Dane County, and I can certainly get you in touch with anybody that might have answers to questions that you will have left over. So with that, this concludes our event. Thank you to all who have tuned in, and thank you all for speaking on behalf of this initiative today.
And I would like to say, as the mayor of Middleton, thank you to Rich Lynch, Rennebohm, Madison Area Development Corporation, Lori, and everyone else who made this project possible. Thank you very much. And the city is very, very appreciative of it. Thank you. Great job, Ashley.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.